more than me, but I just don't know who they are.
And please forgive me because I'm a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been working on this thing. They've told me about humbleness, humility. I don't like it.
I'm the king of the world!
I appreciate those kind words.
And I will not apologize for my tone tonight.
I personally believe that U.S. Americans, some people out there in our nation don't have that. That I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as.
The first time I didn't feel it, but this time I feel it.
I don't like it.
And I can't deny the fact that you like me.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I have been a Republican in times good, and I have been a Republican in times bad.
I love it up here.
So those are just examples of oral communication. So oral communication is how you actually communicate out of your mouth. And just like writing, it's one of the easiest ways to show or to make yourself seem ignorant, or because people perceive you by what they can see out their eyes. You may have 1,000,000 degrees. You may be the most well-educated person in the world. However, people are going to judge you by what they see out their eyes, the way you communicate. So you can say, oh, I have a PhD in, I don't know, something really, really special.
Nuclear physics.
Nuclear physics. And then you say, why come I don't understand the question you just asked?
That doesn't match up.
Yes, you just said you have a PhD in what? Say it again.
Nuclear physics.
Nuclear physics, and the words that just came out of your mouth was why come? It's oral communication. What you communicated was that you must have got that degree because they just passed you along. Because you clearly didn't get it by writing no types of papers. You didn't get it because you were studying, because you dumb as all get out.
So
The thing about oral communication, though, is you just have to know when to apply. As with all communications, you have to know when to apply a particular type of speech. So you have to consider the audience you're talking to.
Exactly.
But you have to consider the audience in all communication. So whether it's interpersonal, whether it's verbal, whether it's oral, whether it's written, you still have to consider the audience. When you're writing, you always write correctly. When you're speaking, you will adjust your speaking. You'll adjust your tone. You'll adjust even your posture, because it just depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a 5-year-old and you're stiff and stuff like this, you're probably going to scare the 5-year-old. And so anything that you say is going to go over here, because they're going to be looking like, that man's scary, that man's scary. Because that's all they can think about. So you'll have to adjust when it comes to oral communication, just depending on the audience that you're talking to. If you're speaking in an area where there maybe is low income, there's not a whole lot of education, it's not going to be a good idea to throw out a lot of big giant words, because they're not going to know what those words mean. And as soon as you say the word, they're going to spend the next 20 minutes of your speech saying, I wonder what that word means. They're going to take out their phone, they're going to try to Google it. And so you've spent 20 minutes speaking, and the only thing they heard was the last big word you said. So you'll need to adjust it to a word that means the same thing, just smaller and is more understood. Okay? All right. So what we're going to talk about now is the process. So how does communication actually work? What does this process look like? One more time for me. So this is the communication process. You have a sender. They encode a message. It goes through a channel. It's decoded. And then the person receives it. And then there's, in between encoding the channel and decoding, there's something called noise. And I'll explain all of this. And then you see the message channel. That's called a feedback loop. So When you're done saying whatever it is you say, feedback is what you get from the person you were saying it to. That expresses what? I understood what you were talking about. For example, sending. So I'm me, and I'm sending a message to, I'll send a message to you. Now, I'm sending a message, I want you to bring me a bottle of water.
Oh.
Because the message was clear, you understood it, right? But this is the process that happened. I had a message. It encoded. We have minimal noise in here. Noise is anything that would distort that encoded message between the process of encoding, going through the channel, and decoding. So, for example, if you call a store and you're trying to order a pizza, right? The person on the phone can only take the order if they can hear exactly what it is that you want. And there's minimal noise in their background and minimal noise in yours. So, if I want to effectively get across to this pizza person that I want a large pizza with only pepperoni, sausage, and bacon, I need to make sure he can hear what? 3 things. Large pizza, pepperoni, sausage, bacon only. If I've got a child on my side and the child is screaming to the top of their lungs, how much do you think he's going to hear that?
None.
He's going to hear very minimal. He's going to just like, but he, of course, we're the customer, so what's he going to do? He's going to try to figure out what we said. All right? So then we've got the noise going. That we've gone through the channel. The channel just happens to be the telephone. He's decoding the message, and all he heard between the crowd was sausage. Okay, well, I guess that's what she meant. On the receiving end, he's going to do what? He's going to make a sausage pizza. Feedback loop is when he comes to your door and he says, here's your sausage pizza. You say, that ain't what I ordered. Well, the problem's not on his end, because it's not his job to make sure that what you wanted him to do is what got done. It's your job to make sure he received that you wanted pepperoni, sausage, and I think it's bacon only. That's how the process works. So when we're encoding these messages, you have to take in account of, okay, what kind of message is it? If we're just talking in an open air like this, it's a little easier for you to hear me because there's not a lot going on. However, if it's a phone conversation, then both backgrounds have to be what? Relatively silent. If you're going to get the order. If you're talking to a person face to face and you're trying to get them to understand something, it's probably not a good idea to have 50 other people around you talking at the same time, because they're not going to be focused on what you're going to say. They're going to try to focus on what you're saying, but they're also going to be hearing everything else that's going around. All of those things are called noise. And noise doesn't necessarily have to be just noise. Noise is anything that would interfere with it. So say you're in class and your teacher's talking to you, right? And you get sleepy. What do you think the sleep is? It's considered noise because it interrupts the communication process. So you're not receiving, encoding, or decoding anything because of that noise. Fatigue, hunger, all of these things, anything that interrupts the communication process is considered a noise. And so when you're communicating, you have to try to take into account of all those different factors. Exactly. The biggest one for me is always hunger. Because once I'm hungry, I stop thinking about whatever everybody said, and I'm like, man, I'm just starving. Joe wish just hurry up so I can go home and eat. Everything else he done said after that last point I heard and I started thinking about food, it's over with. So you have to be mindful of that with the communication process. If all else fails, the way to make sure that your message got across is to ask, do you understand? And if so, tell me what I just told you. Another good example. You'll say, clean the house, right? Parents do that all the time. And they leave it wide open like that. And so children say, okay, clean the house. Well, I imagine that means clean the living room and kitchen. And so they do just that. Parents come home, I told you to clean the house. Well, you ain't say what to clean. You just said clean the house. Well, I meant clean the whole house. Well, you didn't say clean the whole house. You said clean the house. You didn't specify what areas you want to clean, how you didn't do anything. You just left it broad. So With that being said, in everything you do, you have to be aware of the communication. Children, on the opposite side, do this. What do you think that conveyed to your mom when you did it?
I don't feel like doing it.
Exactly. Now, you might have felt like it, but that ain't what your
Body said.
Your body said, you bother me and I want you to miss me. That's why your parents get all hostile with you. I know you did not. But you have to remember that, because the body will react before you ever think. It'll just do what it's going to do, and then you be wondering why you got this look from on your parents' face. It's because that non-verbal communication then creeped up there on you. So the whole thing today is we have to remember that the communication process comes from us to another person. It's our job as the encoder to ensure that whatever our message is decoded on the other side correctly. It's our job to check and make sure it's correctly. And we have to consider all the factors that go with the process of communication. Age, memory span, what we're trying to convey. If it's something really important, I would not send something really important over the phone. Phones draw calls. Does that make sense? So when you communicate, you have to choose the right method. All right? So, now,